Most brands blame revenue dropping to advertising. That's actually not always the case. A few weeks ago, a competitor attacked one of our products, dropping its revenue from $10,000 a day to $1,000 a day overnight from a simple catalog error. Our team has built a 14-page document on how they manage 20,000 plus SKUs to make sure that they fix these Amazon errors and these mystery errors and all these catalog issues before they severely tank revenue. And I'll share how to get access to it at the end. My name is Jasim Eisa. I'm the CEO and founder of Voadera, $100 million plus Amazon e-commerce company. And in this video, I'm going to share why catalog work is insanely important and very underrated, the primary Amazon catalog issues that you're likely to run into and their impact, and how to implement this so that you can catch these errors before they tank your revenue, and if they do, how to fix them as soon as possible. Catalog work is insanely underrated nowadays. It's not sexy, it's very boring. You see a lot of people obviously going to talk about ads and all these new AI stuff and the click-through rate and images and premium A+ content, which is all very important, don't get me wrong. But without catalog work and catalog errors happening, all of that is relevant, because a catalog issue, it could de-index you from primary keywords. A competitor attack purposely could add adult to one of your products, and now your listing is suppressed. You can't do advertising for it in the first place because you can't run ads for adult products or certain categories. And so much more. I mean, free suppressed featured offer, where you have someone, for example, go to Target and put their price lower there, so Amazon then reduces it. All these kind of issues are catalog errors that make everything else irrelevant. It doesn't matter how much inventory you have. It doesn't matter how good your ads are, because Amazon could flag your listing and take it down, causing it to be de-indexed, among many other things. One of the most important KPIs we track is actually percentage of healthy and active SKUs. We like this to be over 99.5%. And then the other one that's also very important is total downtime. We know errors are going to happen. We have 20,000 plus SKUs, but how fast are we getting to something? We like that to be minutes, maybe sometimes hours, but definitely not weeks, where we're losing revenue continuously on something. And the other important aspect of this, and I mentioned this earlier, a lot of times category errors are actually masking themselves as marketing problems. You think that you're getting less impressions, you actually de-index for a lot of keywords. You think that, for example, you're not getting any conversion rate, your featured offer or buy box is suppressed. So you have to make sure that your listing is quote unquote healthy. Everything checks out. You're showing up for your indexing. You're in the right category. Some categories have less sales than another one. It's not always obvious. For example, let's say toys in Christmas, it has a lot of sales, but let's say your product is toys, but it's also sports and outdoor. One error that you might have is that it gets classified in the category of sports and outdoor in Q4. That could detrimentally impact sales. So understanding the browse node, GL, all this boring terms that you're almost never going to hear when talking about GL alignment, general ledger alignment, or error 5972, and all this kind of stuff. It's actually very important. And your category team is not just a data entry team, they're actually revenue protection. They're a defensive team to make sure everything's healthy, everything looks good, to continuously get healthy sales and be able to grow. Now I'm going to walk through the most serious Amazon catalog errors and the impact and implications that they have. Again, there's a 14-page SOP on how to address them step by step. I'm going to share how to get that at the end. But now I just want to give a very rough overview and just walk and talk through the primary areas that they have. So I have them here in my notes. I'm going to walk through them. So the first one is the generic brand. So this is where, actually, what's funny, we were doing an analysis on the most popular, most revenue brands on Amazon, and one I think it was in the top 10 was generic. Obviously that's not a brand, but if you set up a brand without a brand name, it's going to show up as generic. And I actually made a full video on how to fix this through. I'm going to share that at the end as well, but you'll find it in the description too. But basically this is where if you don't put a brand name in and while you're making the listing, or you forget, ideally don't forget, right? So this is why you're watching this video, so you can prevent these from happening. It's a serious issue, is that it'll stick under generic, and changing it, well, obviously that means you can't do a lot of things. You can't, for example, attribute premium A+ content because it's not under brand registry anymore. There's many more things. The listing quality looks much worse. The brand linking is bad, like I mentioned. The variation relationship, so it's not attached to the rest of the variations perhaps, and it's not attached to the brand storage in general. So this is the impacts of having an Amazon error. It's usually known as generic brand error 5995. The second common one is syncing reviews in the variation family. So this is where you want to take advantage of the existing listing for its reviews. So we have an error product right now. A partner came to us and they have an existing listing, 16,000 reviews. So they wanted to launch another one. The other one was it was like a foot massager basically, or foot item. And the new one was actually hand massager. So somewhat different, but somewhat same. But the issues eventually wanted to live separately. But when launching it, the original listing had 10 to 20,000 product reviews. It was 17,000 basically. So what we wanted to initially do is you wanted the hand massager to leverage the existing reviews and to sync it across that. So that way it can show us high reviews, and then eventually you wanted to separate it so it can live on its own once it had 100, 200 reviews. They spent tens of thousands of dollars trying to launch it. They failed. This strategy helped it. And this is where we go through how to address syncing reviews in the variation family, obviously mentioning how it's important, but sometimes you run into issues. Amazon doesn't let you. They say the items are different, all that kind of stuff. So want to make sure that there is some linkage though, because if they're completely unrelated, your conversion rate is going to tank and it's going to go really bad for you. And this usually happens when the category product group is misaligned, or there's something different. We have the plug and play seller support template to use when you're not getting the variation link when you think they are related, but that's one of the common things to see. Search suppression and at risk. This is usually, it shows at risk on Amazon. So this basically means that you're invisible in the search. So this is where we get into back the indexing. So the most common reason this happens is there's missing or incorrect identifiers, incomplete titles, bullets, descriptions, you're violating content or keyword policies, bad images. So you're not, for example, the main image, it doesn't have a white background. So this is where you're going to get search suppression. So you want to make sure that usually so at-risk listings, so sometimes they give you a warning before. So you want to make sure that you're addressing it before it goes down, because then you have to appeal and it's a longer process. But that's also another one to be wary of, and that's the impacts of it. The next one I wanted to get into was error 8572. Again, all of these are mentioned in SOP. So this is invalid product codes. So this one hits a lot of brands trying to clean up old listings or migrate GTINs, so basically UPCs. So error 8572 is Amazon thinks your UPC, EAN, ISBN doesn't match the product. The exact error, this is what Amazon is going to show you, it's 8572, that's what it means. And the usual evidence we attach for this is the product name, the manufacturer, the brand name, the GS1 code, the manufacturer letter if the GTIN belongs. But basically what they're not going to let you do is make the listing active. And the point is, while you're submitting these, is that Amazon is not guessing what it is. You show them everything clear, you show the linkage so they can reactivate your product. The next one is actually very interesting. It's a self-serve size chart tool. So you want to make sure this is showing, and especially for clothing and apparel categories. I'll walk you through a very brief story on why this is so important. So we had a premium clothing brand, was in socks basically, and the return rate was 18.3%. They were dealing with this for years, and basically a lot of customers were getting bad sizes. That was the primary complaint once we did an analysis. So we thought, how can we make this more clear? Again, what we did was we attacked it from the catalog perspective. A lot of people would go ads, or sometimes the most basic, and it was free because it just takes obviously time to set up, but you don't have to pay for advertising continuously. So what we did was a self-serve size chart tool. And we made it very clear what sizes are for which, or like what size links to which one. So for example, 5Y means that you're between 5 to 5.5 years old and you weigh X to Z and you're a male, etc. So we made all these linkages, and in turn, we saw our return rate go down from 18.3% to 8.1% on this product. So you can imagine the implication on revenue. So that was $6 million a year brand. So 18.3 is what? So let's just think about it very quickly. So 20, let's just say 20% roughly. So that's let's just say 1 million, and it went down to 8%. So let's just call it, what is that? So let's just say that's 600,000, or let's just say 500,000. That's almost $700,000 in savings on returns on that product, to show the impact that this tool can have. So obviously SOP goes into how to set it up. It improves also conversion rate because the customer is not guessing what to buy, how to buy, all that kind of things. But even another thing is now there's the customers frequently kept this item and customers frequently returned. This product actually went from a frequently returned to frequently kept compared to this category, just of how clear the size chart was. 3 variation themes. This is actually one of my favorites. It's a cool tool. It makes things more organized. Instead, you sometimes see listings with variations all over the place and it's very clunky. You can actually do 3 layers and 3 levels of variation themes. So when, for example, you frequently see one variation theme is just color. So choosing between a lot of different colors. Another one is color and size. That's 2 themes. A third one would be color, size, and case pack. And how can you do that when you can do that all together. So for example, that's just one example within, like, for example, vitamins. If you wanted to go to shoes, you can do another one, but it's three layers of catalog. So what it does is improves conversion rate, it makes your listing look more professional, a better premium brand, all that kind of stuff. The next one is category layers alignment. So GL, general ledger, browse node, add attributes. This is where it gets a little bit nerdy, but very powerful. So we break down the attribute stack, what to look for, the browse node, the category, the product type, website display group, what it's showing, what Amazon recognizes this item as. I mentioned the example of the toy and the sports and why it's important to have it in one, not the other. But misalignment, it kills indexing, ranking, review sharing, even the fee structure. This is actually a big one. So for example, certain items, certain categories have less fees than other. Another one is electronics, I think, are 8%, compared to all other categories, the referral fees 15%. So we had an item that was basically somewhat apparel and somewhat electronics. We obviously want it to be electronics. We want Amazon to recognize it that way so we can save half of the fees. It was selling for almost 80 bucks. So 15% of 80 compared to 8% of 80, and you're saving that on each and every single item. So actually, we also saw how to see the general ledger, the product group data, and how to pull reports and inspect your product detail page. These are the most common Amazon catalog errors. I hope you understand how crucial this is to your Amazon business, to get these right, to operate within Amazon's ecosystem, to keep your listings healthy, active. And that's why we use this program, so that we're continuously running it out, but also very quickly getting things back up, active, implementing the best practices within this SOP to make sure all of our team members use it, all of our team members are abiding by the same principles and tactics to create consistent standards. So just a quick recap, a lot of marketing and sales problems are actually just catalog issues masked up as ad issues. So be careful as you're analyzing, make sure you diagnose the root cause analysis and the real root issue that's happening. Make sure to go to the description, you'll find the catalog booklet there. It's free to access for you. And also, if you mentioned the video about error 5995, you can watch that video here and also the link in the description to learn how to address that one.